At about 10 a.m. on Wednesday, November 15th, I arrived in Sao Paulo, Brazil to compete in my first ever Pokémon TCG Latin American International Championships. For this trip, I'm traveling with my buddy Joe, who is a Full Grip Games local, attending his first international championships. We booked our rooms together with Azul, Grant, Chip, and Caleb, so when we got to the hotel, we met up with them and started trying to figure out what deck to play. Their group seemed to be choosing between Chien-Pao EX and Charizard EX, while Joe came to Brazil pretty set on playing Charizard EX, and I was pretty intent on playing Gardevoir EX. After testing for a while, Azul and Caleb decided that they were going to order Domino's Pizza, which meant that it was a perfect time for Joe and I to go do absolutely anything else. We walked to a restaurant nearby where we got to eat outside and enjoy the beautiful weather. Neither of our phones had great service and Google Translate wasn't working, so we kind of just had to point to stuff on the menus and eat whatever showed up. But you know what? It worked out great. This food was fantastic. We ate our fill, then walked around a nearby shopping mall where we stumbled upon an arcade. We got to have some fun playing games like Jurassic Park and basketball, but then Joe challenged me to air hockey, and you know I had to show him who's boss. The next day, Joe and I wanted to get a little further away from the hotel, so we took an Uber into downtown Sao Paulo and explored around. There were a bunch of newsstands along the street, which reminded me a little bit of New York City. But what was super cool about these is that almost all of them sold Pokémon cards. That's right, Pokémon cards. So you know I had to buy a couple of packs, but unfortunately, I didn't pull anything. While walking around, we were keeping our eyes out for something light to eat for lunch, so we decided to get some pastels, which were super tasty. Then, we visited the Sao Paulo Museum of Art, or the MASP. The MASP is a landmark in Sao Paulo, a beautiful building filled with influential art from all over the world. Visiting the MASP was awesome. Not only did we get to escape the heat for a little bit, but we also experienced some amazing works of art. And I got to talk Joe's ear off about all of the things that I had learned in art history class, which I don't always get the opportunity to do, so I was really excited about that. And you know what? Joe was a really good sport about it. After spending some time at the MASP, we walked around a nearby park and then Ubered back to the convention center so that we could wait in line to register for the Latin American International Championships. The line took a little while, but we made it through, I got my badge, and we went out to eat. This meal was probably my favorite of the trip. I had this picadillo with rice, an egg, fried banana, and a chop, which was super refreshing. With the competition happening tomorrow and our deck lists more or less figured out, Joe and I did our best to just relax and try to prepare ourselves for the big day ahead. The morning of the event, I wasn't super nervous about how things were going to go, more excited than anything to meet new people and experience my first tournament in Brazil. Things were a little bit hectic getting started as people were rushing into the event hall and trying to find their seats for the start of the tournament. I started off the day really strong with back-to-back wins before tying my third round in a really close set against a Gardevoir mirror. At a record of 2-0-1, I was feeling pretty solid about how the day was starting, but in round 4, I took a tough loss to an Iron Valiant DX deck that was able to knock out all of my Pokemon in play before I had a chance to set up. Both games. The only upside to this was that my round ended super quickly, which gave me some time to go around to vendors, explore the venue, and pick up my competitor kit, which had some really cool stuff in it. The rest of the day was a roller coaster, with my deck deciding to work and stop working seemingly whenever it felt like it. I won round 5 and then proceeded to lose round 6, won round 7, and then lost a tough round 8, which kicked me out of contention for day 2 of the competition. At a record of 4-3-1, I was pretty fed up with the Gardevoir EX deck and ready to move on with my night and go do something else. But I had to finish my final round so that I could try to win and finish in the top 256 players to salvage some championship points from this event. And lucky for me, the coolest thing that could have possibly happened in this moment happened. My round 9 opponent didn't show up, which meant I got a free win. So I finished with a record of 5-3-1, which was good for top 256 and 80 championship points towards my Worlds invitation. The tournament went fine. I wasn't stoked on my performance or anything, but I had the most amazing time meeting people from all over South America. I had no idea so many people in Brazil watched Tricky Gym. Everyone I met was super cool and welcoming, and it really warmed my heart that I got to connect with so many different people, all because of this game that I play. Since neither Joe or I qualified for the second day of competition, we wanted to get out and explore more of Brazil. We set our sights on the beach, but the closest beach was about 2 hours away in Guarujá. Fortunately, the 2-hour Uber ride only cost $50 US, so we got up early Saturday morning and began our trek to the coast.
Oh, thank God we came here, bro. Oh, thank God. We can get an umbrella, we can do... Bro, oh, we're set. We are set.
There's a sort of inconceivable bliss that comes from living in a place like Akron, Ohio, where it had already started snowing for the year, and then visiting an absolutely gorgeous place like this. There were people eating and drinking, listening to music, soaking up the sun. The fun was really contagious. And the water, oh my God, it was like bath water. It was so warm and refreshing. It felt amazing. We wanted to find a way to rent an umbrella and some chairs, but found it was going to be a little bit more difficult than we had anticipated. Many of the umbrellas and chairs for rent were reserved for people staying in the hotels nearby, and others were for people that were patrons of nearby restaurants, and we had just 8. Compound that with the language barrier, and Joe and I were coming up empty-handed. That is, until Fernando showed up. Fernando could tell that we were struggling and offered to help us rent a couple of chairs and an umbrella, explaining that his brother rents them out and lives right around the corner. So he told us to hang tight and he would grab us the chairs. A couple minutes later, he came jogging back with the umbrella and chairs in tow, set them up for us, charged us a very reasonable fee for the day, and we were all set to chill. I was blown away by how kind and helpful this total stranger was. He explained to us that he was just really excited to get to practice his English that he had taught himself while playing Battlefield on the Xbox. We exchanged social media information so that I could find him at the end of the day to return the chairs, and we were good to go. I went for a walk and bought a little soccer ball from a vendor on the beach, and then Joe and I played some pass. While we were playing, some kids came up to us and asked if we wanted to play a little pickup on the beach. I was chafing pretty bad and already exhausted, so I started to tell them no, but Joe was not taking no for an answer. So we played some pickup soccer on the beach and had a lot of fun. Did I say fun? I meant I almost died. Joe and I chilled out for a little bit to recover from the exhausting game of pickup soccer, and then got things packed up to go. Fernando met us as we were packing up to pick up the beach supplies, but stopped me as I was about to throw away my coconut from earlier. He asked if we would like to see him break it with his bare hands. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course we do. Unfortunately, I was so excited that I forgot to film it. But Fernando was cool enough to send me a video of him doing it again.
Hello, I'm from Brazil and I made friends from Ohio. I'm going to record this video for my friends from Ohio. Enjoy. Thanks for the affection and big hug for everyone in Ohio. Break it. Hi, my friend!
After saying our goodbyes to Fernando and his brother, we walked along the beach for a while until we found a good spot to eat dinner. There was live music, the food was great, the atmosphere was out of this world. Stoked with how our impromptu day at the beach turned out, we called an Uber and started planning for our final day in Brazil. On the last day of the trip, we visited Liberdade, which is a bustling Japan town in the heart of Sao Paulo. On the weekends, the plaza is filled with vendors selling Japanese food and gifts, which was fun to poke around and look at. While walking around, we noticed this dude dressed as Naruto. He wasn't very hard to miss. I was ordering yakitori chicken at one of the vendors, and Naruto guy was trying to tell me about his favorite football team.
Palmeiras?
English.
You Palmeiras. You Palmeiras.
Don't know what that means.
But unfortunately, I had never heard of them. And I quickly found out that was not going to fly.
You Palmeirense. Palmeiras. Palmeiras.
Palmeira.
Hey! Palmeiras. Palmeiras. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got our chicken, said goodbye to Naruto, and then it started raining. A lot. Fortunately, we were able to find an indoor shopping center nearby to help us escape the rain. And you'll never guess who we stumbled into. His name is Samuel, and his dad works in this shopping center selling trading cards. He asked about the video that I was filming, and I told him that I'm a Pokemon TCG YouTuber. That got him really excited, as he explained to me that he dreams of being a famous influencer one day. Knowing that we were into Pokemon, he was anxious to show us all of the Pokemon stuff in the shopping center.
Trico, me favorites
Oh, Trico.
Trico.
Yeah.
Freddy Fazbear.
Then I found out just because Samuel thinks Palmeiras is the best football team doesn't mean everybody thinks that.
Palmeiras won Champions Mundial. Primeiro campeão mundial.
No. Palmeiras doesn't have Mundial. Corinthians have
No, Corinthians.
Corinthians?
No.
Corinthians, yes.
Samuel led us to a vendor that was selling Pokemon cards, and I could not believe my eyes. This guy had one of my biggest chase cards of all time, my holy grail, Rocket's Mewtwo EX. I've wanted this card for the longest, but English versions can cost hundreds of dollars, and it just didn't really ever make sense to pick one up. This particular Rocket's Mewtwo EX was in good shape and listed for 800 real, which is about 160 US dollars. I thought to myself, wow, this would be an awesome way to remember such a great trip, and so much cooler than just buying one online. So I decided to buy it. I was ecstatic to have found a Portuguese Rocket's Mewtwo EX. Absolutely thrilled. But I could tell that Sam was a little concerned and maybe surprised at how much money I spent on a Pokemon card. The next stop was a video game vendor, and as Samuel excitedly pointed out all of his favorite video game characters in the room, Joe found a Pokemon-themed Game Boy that he really liked and decided to buy it. I asked Sam what his favorite video game was, and he told me that money for him was not good, and that he couldn't afford any video games. I was so moved by how loving and kind everybody that I had met on this trip was, and I wanted badly to give back in some way. So I asked Sam which video game system he would want if he could have one. He told me he dreamed of having Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch, so I bought him the Nintendo Switch bundled with Mario Kart.
No. Oh.
For you, my friend.
Thank you. I love you.
Have fun with it, okay? Enjoy it.
Eu também tô acreditando, não.
Yes.
Oh, my friends. I love you. Oh, really?
Yes, bro, yes! It's real.
Oh, really?
Before parting ways, Samuel typed me the nicest message on Google Translate. I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to meet Samuel. I had the best time in Brazil. I met some super cool people and visited beautiful places, but what means the most to me is that I went into this trip just barely more than a friendly acquaintance with Joe, and I feel like we came out of it great friends.